Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for yet another installment of Election Season with MidbayNews.com. I'm Christopher Saul, and I'm here today with Andrew Rencich, who is a current Crestview City Councilman that is running for Okaloosa County Commissioner District 3. And for those of you that may not be in the know, that's probably the most gerrymandered district in Okaloosa County because it includes the west part of Crestview, the west part of Niceville, Valparaiso, and like this little slice of Fort Walton Beach. So a lot of different groups being represented in this district, but all of you, everybody in Okaloosa County, gets to vote for it. So I thought it was important to talk to all the candidates, starting with City Councilman Rencich. And so, sir, if we could just start off with a little bit about yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
So my background was primarily military. I joined the service when I was 19, and then stayed within the infantry ranks, and then elevated up into the special forces regiment, and we moved here with the BRAC realignment in 2000. And since then, I've kind of me and my wife and the family, we've grown roots. We've started multiple businesses, and never really, when I was in the service, paid attention to the local politics. And then, as soon as you get, more into the business world and exiting out of the military, it was real quick to see how important that is to your livelihood. So, but I did 18 or 14 years active duty. I still serve in the National Guard. I've got one more year, and then I'll have my official 20 for military retirement. My wife and I, we stood up AA Tactical, and which is a firearms retail company. And then shortly thereafter, we stood up Arrowhead, which is an aerospace and defense manufacturing company with the goal of creating industry and making parts in America, making parts in the Panhandle. So I'm always pretty busy. I like it that way. It makes the days go by. It makes the days interesting. My family is starting to I'm almost an empty nester. One moved out 2 years ago, and one's a freshman at Crestview High. And then, just like working and like being involved in the community.
So I don't know if you remember this, but the first time we met was in 2016 during the 2016 election campaign. You had made a AR-15 that was pretty unique. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
So through our firearm company, we customize firearms. And so we Cerakoted a Trump tribute rifle. And the intent was to present it to him. We were never able to actually get a line to be able to do that, nor would he be able to or want to accept it during his presidency, because it would have had to go in the archive. At least that's what Governor Huckabee told me. We made a red, white, and blue tribute rifle for Make America Great Again. And after that election, we started seeing things go in the right direction.
All right. And so coming back to local politics, as we discuss the county commissioner's race, I kind of want to get an idea of what each candidate sees as the responsibility of a county commissioner. So what are those responsibilities, and what do you see as the most important piece of them?
So, let me put it to you in one way that some others may understand also. Bumper bowling. We're the bumpers. We make sure that we're going down the lane and that we're staying within what the community wants. And so my job and the other commissioners, and same thing, goes on figuring out how to distribute wastewater. That is the growth management, and that is the directors in charge of those departments. My job is to ensure that I have a big picture, a full scope of everything that needs to happen. And when they need something or they run into a hurdle, that I'm there to help. Once again, with the big picture in mind, not in the weeds trying to do their job. If that was the case, I should have became a public works director. That they are the subject matter experts in local government and in government of all levels. I do believe you see that where people get in and then they want to be the focal point. Our job is not to be. It's the eagle-eye view, making sure that everybody has a voice, everybody has a seat at the table, and we're listening to everybody and making sure that the community goes in the direction that we want it. If we were in California, it'd be a complete different set of bumpers than what we are here in the Panhandle.
Perfect. So as a policymaker, of course, you're going to have to make some pretty tough decisions, especially around the budget. So I guess one of my questions is, what is more important essentially to the people of Okaloosa County? Is it having property taxes as low as humanly possible, or is it fully funding essential county services like the sheriff's office or roads or stormwater, whatever it is?
I think after the last two surtaxes passed, that really shows where the public's opinion is. The public wants to be safe. The public wants good roads. Now, don't get me wrong; they take forever to build, and it's a process. And even I pull my hair out, and I know some of the process. We need to make sure that we have a conservative spending policies and budget in line, so that we can make sure that the community is, first of all, safe. Second of all, our economy is fully funded. No roadblocks are in its way, so that we can have the commerce and all of that are required for a thriving community.
If let's say that we have another shortfall like we did right after 2008, what items are you looking at ensuring have the same levels of funding, and what items are you looking at making cuts to?
So we moved here in 2011. During the 2008, I will be 100% on it. I was still 100% U.S. Army Green Beret, running and gunning. That was not my focus point during that time. I know times got extremely bad for a lot of parts of the country, and to include here when we moved here in 2011, which was the aftermath still of the crisis into every other house. It was a foreclosure, a short sale. And I know when Seventh Group moved in, it helped a little bit. But so I can only speak to, we need to ensure that the public safety is going to be paramount. Without a secure and safe community, people can't live a happy life. If you're always looking over your shoulder or worried, or then are you really living? We just ran into that with COVID. People were more scared of, they put their entire lives on hold because of something that could possibly happen versus living. So you can use that and see that just the topic of insecurity creates an entire instability of mindset.
Talking about something that you just came up and brought up was the half-penny sales tax, or the two half-penny sales tax, the one for the county and then the one for the school district. Are you in favor of at least the half-penny for the county, and why or why not?
I am in favor of that because it's a use tax. So it's not only putting the burden of these improvements and infrastructure, capital improvements on merely the landowners, property owners, business owners, but it's spreading it to anybody who's a consumer. So if you're buying a pack of gum, or if you're buying a Viking vessel, you're paying sales tax on that extra half a cent. And I'm in favor of the school one also. Those numbers on both of those surtaxes have came back extremely above expectations, and it's allowed us to do a lot of projects that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to be done. So yes, I think that by spreading that tax, that cost, that infrastructure, then not only are our community, you're footing the bill on that also, but so is every tourist, every visitor, everybody driving down I-10 on 90, everybody who's commuting through, works, lives, or plays in our community is putting in a little nugget.
If you look forward to the end of your first term, should you win, what is the signature policy or thing that you got done that you're going to look back on and say that was the best thing that we did?
Yeah, I'm not going to say that any one thing is broken. What I want to ensure is that we continue to have the relationships and the continuity between the municipalities and the county that we've had for the last 5 years that I've been on the council, because we wouldn't have never got those half-cent sales tax. We would have never got the bed tax passed. We would have never got any of those things done without level-headed minds being at the table, ensuring that we're looking at holistically at all of the different variables. I mean, the military has always taught me second and third order effects. And so you might not think of something, but you make one small move and it adjusts more things than you expected. We have to ensure that we're looking at all.
So the stormwater infrastructure funding situation has been difficult for the last, I guess, probably forever. When I was at the county, it was one of the big things we talked about was a $70 million, stormwater shortfall. Even though Crestview is in the northern part of the county, it still has stormwater issues. Can you tell me about how you would go about working towards a solution to the funding shortfall to reduce flooding risks in our area?
So flooding risks, one thing that we've been doing here in the city of Crestview is we've been trying to match grant funds, trying to match state funds, and so we can be a multiplier. We've even used try and use P3s so in places that we public-private partnership where we can, because that takes our tax dollars and that actually opens them up. So instead of spending 1x, now we get 3x in return. So in doing so, with that being said, I'd be looking for all those other options that are out there for funding, whether they're federal, they're state. I'd be speaking with our representatives and senators at the State House, trying to ensure that as those funding mechanisms become open, that we have a loud voice at that table to ensure that we can get our piece of the pie. Water right now is one that the state is really pushing, and so there's money there for us to go after. We have to be able to put our own skin in the game to get that.
Absolutely. As an entrepreneur yourself, you probably, this is going to be close to your heart, but I guess my question would be, how can we, as a group, and then the county commission specifically, utilize and diversify our economy here locally to kind of harden it from, let's say, the effects of base realignment or hurricanes like we saw in Panama City? What can be done from a government perspective to encourage growth in other industries?
So that is actually the primary one of my focuses. Now, this is in Commissioner Mixon's district, but I think it's paramount for the entire north, for the entire county, and that's Shoal River Ranch. I've said this many times, we have the military, and it's amazing because they're the largest economic boost for our community. I remember back in 2004, Bragg, when everybody rolled up, wheels up, the door shut, nobody was there to do business. So, and I'm sure that same application happened here. So we have to be, conscious of that. We also have tourism. Well, tourism, look what happened in COVID. So that's two legs of our stool at any given time that one could be taken out. The one leg that I learned here recently during COVID, and we were just getting into it, is manufacturing. As everything was spinning up with manufacturing, I was having primes send me letters telling me, you are to remain open. This is the letter saying you provide primes. You will stay working. We need you making stuff. So that showed us we need infrastructure. Industry drives right along with Shoal River Ranch. We got Central Mahoney, Chris Hart and his team's getting ready to break ground and then be the initial builders on that site. He's bringing, I believe it's 350 jobs. Those are all good paying jobs for our region. And those are jobs that are, nothing's ever guaranteed, but they've got a multi-year backlog on production for the items they're making. So those jobs are pretty much a guarantee for our region. And as we continue to compound those, we have more jobs and more manufacturing. And when we make stuff, it's just more tangible. When we get a new person who starts here, and I love it because you can tell when you take them and they make a little widget out of a block of aluminum, they're like, whoa, that's how that's done. Infrastructure, industry is going to be my biggest push with Shoal River Ranch, working with Nathan Sparks, One Okaloosa, and anything that we can do to get the jobs and the job growth grant that the governor signed and gave us to get wastewater, sewer water out there. There's a lot going on, and that's going to be our next real hub of growth, and that's a whole new sector that will protect us, essentially, give us a third leg to that stool that will be new industry.
So bringing in new industry means more people, and we're already looking at sort of an affordable housing. I don't want to say crisis, but it's hard to get a house. It's hard to find places to live right now, and I feel like that's going to be one of the key issues going forward. And I'm curious how you would use your power on the county commission to build either more affordable housing or find more housing solutions for all the residents of the county more generally.
So the county just did an affordable housing study. The city even pitched in. All the municipalities once again came to the table and said, "Hey, this is a problem. It is a problem. We have 1,000 people moving to the state of Florida a day." Last thing I was told. Early on, they were all going to South and Central Florida. Well, now they found this diamond over here in the Panhandle, and they keep coming. So we have to control and try and grow as smart as we can, using the zoning and densities so that we can, essentially rings. We don't want a giant apartment complex. We have to put all that, and that's why the SMEs, the planners, once again, not the commissioner or the elected officials, per se, job to tell them how to do it. It's their job to tell us and for us to use that information to make a definitive answer or a definitive decision. We are going to have to continue to grow. We're going to have to continue to grow smart. The answer to affordable housing is a tough one. You'd think it'd be like typical economics, supply and demand. You make more of them and the prices come down, but we continue to make more housing and they continue to be bought up. So that shows that we have a large deficit on our housing even. So I know a lot of people, especially up here in the north, don't want to hear anything about growth. It's a necessary evil, if we could say it like that. We have to work with it. We can't just shun it out, because when we shun anything out, that's when we get the worst outcome. We need to be part of the solution at the table. If we just tell a developer you can't build, they're just going to go to their attorney and say, file paperwork. And then ultimately the taxpayers and the county are the ones on the hook defending and most likely losing. The Burt Harris Act of 1995, Florida, it's property rights, and I'm 100% for personal property rights. If you own it, we, the government, no matter what level, shouldn't be able to come in and dictate X, Y, or Z within reason, within the statute or the limitations of what the code are.
Like no open sewer treatment plants next to apartment blocks.
Correct. I mean, that would be a health issue, the life safety issue. Those mechanisms or those statutes are in there for a reason. But to come and do any unburden, that I can't necessarily support.
Understood. Last question from me. Politics is also often seen as kind of a family affair, of a fight as a group. And your wife is now running for Crestview City Council. Can you tell me a little bit about how y'all decided to make that decision and what you hope to gain from, if you do win and she does win, having two Renciches in public office?
So that is definitely an interesting question. I don't know how it's going to be. My wife, she has every option that she wants within her life to, anything I've done, she could do. And with me vacating the seat this upcoming season, there was an individual that pre-filed for my seat, and just through the interactions and the social media and different things that have been heard and said and seen and so on, I won't get into the specifics. That's not something that she was comfortable uh, allowing to happen. So after a few of those incidents, she said, no, we can't take two steps backwards. We have to continue to make sure that we're supporting the Tim Bolduc and the city manager, the city of Crestview. We've been making amazing adjustments compared to before we did the charter changes. Before we had 5 council members, and each one of them dealt directly with the departments, and it was just very convoluted. It was very difficult. You'd never run a business like that, and so by putting the city manager at the helm, that's allowed us to streamline a lot. That's allowed us to have a one city, one mission, a way forward where if it doesn't hit the strategic plan, well, then maybe it's not priority. So before there wasn't that plan. So long story short, it's definitely going to be interesting. She has been involved with me with everything I've done for the last 4+ years. She's at every event with me, so she definitely knows what's going on. I think a lot of people, when they look at politics, they think, oh, I could do this, I could do that. Well, you don't learn that, oh, you can't do that and you can't do that until you get into this position. And so she already kind of knows some of those limitations and expectation management and sound business decisions. So we'll see how it goes.
I think the charter change for the city of Crestview, that was what, in 2018. I think it's probably the single biggest political move in Okaloosa County this century, and I say that because City of Niceville has a manager form of government. Valparaiso does not. And in 1970, Valparaiso was the bigger town, and now Niceville is. And so I think that y'all's form of government is going to lead to a lot of amazing things. And you've already kind of touched on it. You have one mission and you can move forward in one place. So I just think that's an amazing thing that you guys got together and did. That being said, I've asked you a ton of questions. I want to open the floor to you and say, Councilman Rencich, what do you want people to know about you, and what is your goal moving forward?
My goal moving forward is to be the exact same person I have been. I said this at a meeting the other day. My phone number, I'll give it to you. I'm not going to be at every meeting. Every election cycle, you'll see all the candidates, and they're running around from every meeting to every meeting, and they're doing the same speech, and then they're running around to the next meeting. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be who I am. If you need me, call me. You're busy. We're all busy. I'm going to try to be as unpolitician as I have been, because I think there's some truth in that. And things happen for a reason. If I'm honored with the position, then I'm going to fulfill it just as if it was, my companies and everything else. I've had that question about, how are you going to manage all these, this and this? Well, I've been doing that my whole life. And so there's a will, there's a way. I just look forward to it. I want to keep it as clean as possible and just make sure that we maintain, like I said in the beginning, that continuity between the county, the state, the cities, because when we start fighting, we look like our neighbors and we don't get anything done. So
absolutely. Well,
make sure we keep getting things done.
Yes, sir. Well, Councilman Andrew Rencich running for Okaloosa County Commissioner District 3. That election takes place on August the 20th. You have up until a month before that to register to vote. So if you're not registered, make it happen. And we will get you more candidate interviews as we get closer to the election day. That is midbaynews.com/elections. Thanks for joining us.